Hello everyone, I welcome you back to this portal of e-learning, and today we are going to do very important, very interesting topic, and that plays a significant role in reading and in writing. Before we begin with the topic, let us begin with a small task. There's this statement given to you. Read the statement very carefully and choose the correct option. And your statement reads like, the basic education, with its integrated approach, caters to the holistic development, physical, psychological, emotional, and sociological upliftment of pupil. And the question is, what does basic education caters to? Now think of if this question would have been in your reading passage. Among the following options, A. Psychological, emotional and physical upliftment. B. Integrated approach. C. Holistic development. And D. Upliftment of pupil. What would you have picked up? The correct answer is C, that is holistic development. Now you must be thinking, why not option A? Because it is clearly written there. You see that small hyphen over there before the word physical, and that is what the reason why the answer is not A and the answer is C. Now let's move ahead to the next task. The title for this task that I have given is all about the difference. I'll be reading these sentences to you and find out what is the difference. He is the one who actually did it. 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 He, the one who actually did it. So the difference that I have already mentioned in parentheses over there for you, you can go back to this task one more time. So I hope you have got till now that what our topic of the day is. That is undoubtedly punctuation. Because punctuation, it plays a major role in reading passages. Not only reading passages, whatever you read around, the way you speak, and most importantly, the way you interpret the writing. It plays a significant role in all these tasks. And how so? That's what we are going to discuss in detail. Let us begin with the main punctuation marks. Many of them you already know. Full stop, or that is also called as period, comma, these two dots, that is called as colon, a dot and a comma, semicolon. This is what you say bracket. In language, it is known as parenthesis. Question mark, exclamation point, apostrophe, hyphen, dash, quotation mark, and last one ellipsis. So now let's begin with the full stop. Full stop, that is also called as period in American English. And you all know where we put a full stop. It is used at the end of a sentence. Sentence, that's a group of words, and that makes a complete sense. That gives a complete meaning. A full sentence, it could be short and simple, like I'm good, or I'm listening, Look at this sentence. Winters are often cold there. Temperatures can reach -10 degrees. You must be thinking, what is wrong with the sentence? Because we cannot choose to put a comma and continue after there. Winters are often cold there is itself a complete sentence. And it's not by the choice that we put a comma after there. So there has to be a full stop or a semicolon, or you need to add a conjunction or a linking word after there if you want to make it as a complete one sentence. So that is how the use of full stop comes into play. Another use of full stop or period, it is used in abbreviations. Number 1, the abbreviations which never have full stops. For example, BBC, UN, CIA. Number 2, which always have full stops. For instance, IE, EG or ETC. And third one, which may or may not be written with the full stops. For example, look at the foremost one, where Mr., Mrs. and Doctor. It is not written with a full stop, but ante-meridian and post-meridian that has been written with the full stops. This is what has been picked from British English. That's a British way of writing. In the next example, where the opposite happens, Mr., Mrs. and Doctor with a full stop, ante-meridian and post-meridian without a full stop but in capital letters. That is what American English is. Next, commas. The comma have three main jobs. Number 1, to separate items in a list. For example, this house has 3 bedrooms, 3 balconies and a garden. Now it is your choice that you put a comma before and or you won't put it. Both the ways it is right. Also with certain conjunctions, particularly with and, but, so, or. For instance, you can ask her, but I don't think she will agree. Or, I won't be there till 12, so don't wait for me. Also to add non-essential information to a sentence. Now here, non-essential, that means you could remove the information and the sentence would still make some sense. And it will have the same basic meaning. This is common when you use an adverb or linking phrase at the start of a sentence. For example, Yakutsk, which is in the northern Siberia, has the coldest winters of any city in the world. Or Antarctica, the driest, coldest and the windiest place, has not been the same anymore. Next, colons. They introduce examples, explanations, or details. Now look at this example over here. Rapid urbanization has led to multiple problems. So if we need to define these multiple problems, we put a colon after the word and then we describe about it, like congestion, air pollution, and a shortage of affordable housing for families. So the sentence before the colon mentions a general idea and sentence after the colon that explains what these problems are. So the colons, they actually elaborate the general idea further. Next are semicolons. They are actually most common to full stops. So you must be wondering, why can't we replace all the full stops with the semicolons or vice versa? Because The difference lies in using a semicolon shows that your ideas before and after the semicolon, they are actually connected. So they are used to connect ideas. Also, they are the replacement for conjunctions and linking words. Look at the example here. He is so stubborn. With a semicolon, it's impossible to convince him to change his ideas a little bit. So actually, both the parts of the sentence means the same. It talks about him and his stubborn character. The semicolon emphasizes that the ideas are connected. Or, colleges won't consider applications which look rushed. It's better to apply to fewer colleges but put more time into each application. So, the portion after the semicolon actually explaining about the idea wherein the applications they look rushed. So the applicant need to give more time while he is applying to a certain college. Parenthesis, that's what you call as bracket. To add an extra information like in a specific date, name or certain start. For instance, John Keats, in parenthesis we have mentioned the year in which he was born and the year he died, was one of the main figures of the second generation of Romantic poets. Or, in his presidential period, Barack Obama, now in the parenthesis it's mentioned his presidential period over, took steps to combat climate change, signing a major international climate agreement and an executive order to limit carbon emissions. So, the items in the list we have separated by a comma. But to mention about the date or the month and the year, we have put that in parentheses. Now here, one thing we need to note, they are not to be used for adding lengthy information. In that case, it's always better to use commas or conjunctions. Look at this example. Consumption of processed meat, in parentheses, which has been linked to many diseases including colon cancer, is rising in many parts of the world. So in that case, it's always better to go for commas or adding certain conjunctions. Or death, in parentheses, an inevitable unchanged rhythm of life, is the main phobia of many. In fact, the information that has been put in parentheses is equally lengthier than the sentence is. So it's always better to write certain conjunctions over there because parentheses main use is to quote the date, the name or certain start. Next, question mark that you all know. A question could be as simple as what is your name? So they are used generally in interrogative statements. For instance, what is the time now? Or had you been there? One thing you need to remember, they are not to be used when the question tags how, why, when, where, what, who, whom, whose, they are in the middle of the sentence. For example, he asked what was the reason for his irritable mood. Or he asked how long had he been there. In that case, we do not put a question mark. Next, exclamation mark or exclamation point. They use to add emphasis or in a sentence that shows sudden emotions. There we make use of exclamation marks or exclamation points. For instance, how cold it is in here. Or, wow, that's incredible. Or, that's a wonderful job done by you. Apostrophe. Apostrophe has more than one job to play. First of all, we use an apostrophe in contractions to replace a missing letter. For example, why have you get Raman's pullover? Or, her mother's cousin's son won the first prize in debate competition. Apostrophe, they're also used to show that something belongs to a person. That means for possession. For example, we met at Boris's party. Or, we could stay at our parents' house for a couple of days. Now, you must be wondering why in the previous example I pronounced that S that has been put after apostrophe mark. But in the second example, I didn't. In fact, there is no S. Now, it depends on the pronunciation of the word that it will end with an apostrophe or it will end with the pronunciation of the sound S. While we are pronouncing Boris's, we are pronouncing that S. While we are pronouncing parents, we are not pronouncing the S that has not been put there. And that's the reason why it has not been put there. In most of the words, the rule says if it ends with a sound, we just add that apostrophe mark, but we do not put another S. But in Boris's case, we are pronouncing that S. We are not making it plural, but we are pronouncing it. So that is the rule wherein you must have read it in many of the examples. In few words, there is only apostrophe mark, and in few others, there is S put there. So I repeat, the rule says, wherein we are not pronouncing the last so sound, we just put an apostrophe over there. They're also used to make an alphabet plural. Now what is that? Look at the example over here. How many M's does the word millennium has? But they are not to be used for plurals. For example, we had 5 Mishras in our group. So we don't need to put an apostrophe here. Next, hyphen. Hyphens are used to make compound words, especially in specific compound adjectives. For example, it's a 6-hour flight. So 6-hour in this sentence is a compound word. Or it was surprisingly tasty for a $3 meal. So what's wrong with the sentence? The $3 is a compound word, and being the reason, it should have a hyphen between the word 3 and dollar. Compound words with the numbers, almost always they have the hyphens. Also, they are used when you are using certain prefixes like ex, non, or self. They're also used in compound numbers or specifically in fractions. So if you need to add a prefix or you're talking about a compound number or fraction, you need to put a hyphen there. For instance, 3/4 of world population. So what's wrong with the sentence here is there has to be a hyphen between 3 and quarters. Dash. There are 2 types of dashes, N dashes and M dashes. N dashes, they have a space in either side of the dash. And M dashes, as opposite, they join onto words before and after. Don't worry much about it because they do the same job. And what's the job? They are used to add extra information in the sentence. While we talk about the extra information, here preferably it is when the extra information it doesn't fit well in the flow or with the grammar. For example, he had escaped, we put a dash over there, or so he thought. Or the numbers of stars in the Milky Way, including many which are undetectable, is estimated to be over 400 billion. So when you take that space and when it is not filling with the grammar or not going well with the flow, there come into play dash. Quotation mark. Now you must have seen that in many of the sentences there are double quotation marks and in many there are single quotation mark. So what's the difference between them? The double quotation marks, they are used when you're quoting that somebody already has said. And single quotation marks to everything else. Look at the example here. He stood up and said, I wouldn't do it if you paid me $1 million. So here the speaker is quoting somebody else's word. That's why it has been put in double quotation marks. Or, being talented is more important than being lucky were the first words of her speech. So here also the speaker is quoting somebody else's words. They're also used to express irony. This is very interesting. Now look here in the sentence. The two words luxury economy that has been put in single quotation marks. And that lays emphasis on the meaning of the sentence and also the way you speak it or you read it. Paying 100 euros for luxury economy was not a good idea. That's a contrasting, contradicting situation. Or single quotation marks, they're also used to express sarcasm or skepticism. As in, many cities in the Special Economic Development Zone are practically ghost towns. So how come these ghost towns, they are Special Economic Development Zones? And the last one, ellipsis. You're very familiar with this one because while you're writing reference to context and you copy those lines of the poem, writing just the 2-3 words of the beginning, then put that dash, dash, dash or dot, dot, dot and the last 3 words. So those dot, dot, dot of yours is known as ellipsis. Ellipsis, it is of many types and you need to know it. So use an ellipsis when omitting a word or a phrase, line, paragraph or more from a quoted passage. Ellipses, they save space or they remove material that is actually less relevant. The first one, gaping. Gaping means, well, there's a gap between your thought and you cut your sentence short. For instance, I ordered the sarsaparilla and he the lobster. So this gaping, the speaker has taken just to think about it. The next one, stripping. You strip the certain information. For instance, I ordered the sarsaparilla and not lobster. So here you are cutting short your sentence again. C. Whatever type of ellipsis is. The function is to remove the material or the information in the sentence or the paragraph or the line or the phrase that is actually less relevant. The next one, the verb phrase ellipsis. I ordered the sarsaparilla and you can too. So here the verb phrase that is ordered the sarsaparilla too is missing and has been replaced by ellipsis. Answer ellipsis, that's the common one, in fact the commonest one. While the teacher asks a certain question, and you just answer in very short. For instance, who ordered the sarsaparilla? I did. So the answer ellipsis, it has taken away all the other information because the answer should be I did order the sarsaparilla. But the meaning is still clear without it. The next one is sluicing. Come to the example. I'll get something to drink, but I'm not sure what. So the speaker needs certain time to think about it. The nominal ellipsis. I ordered 2 drinks and bill 1. So you're just cutting short the less relevant information here. So next time when you see it somewhere, don't say dot dot dot. That is ellipsis because. That's the end of it. Here are 2 exercises that I have put here. Go through the exercises. The first one says you have to use appropriate punctuation marks in the following sentences. Very short exercises for you to practice. And another one wherein you need to put semicolons, colons, dashes, quotation marks, italics or use an underline, and parentheses wherever they are needed in the following sentences. Complete both exercises. Send them to me. You can mail me, inbox me, or you can put your answers in the comment tab. If you have any other question, if you wish me to go back to any of the particular topic, explain it to you, post your comments in the comment tab. Happy learning to all of you. Thank you so much. Take a very good care of yourself and your family. Thank you.